audio and video check. Can you guys hear me okay? You should. How's everybody doing tonight? Looks good, sounds good. I believe it should be. Andrew A, you could just ban him or them, he, her, she, whatever. Misinformation. I mean, we're starting off tonight with just I got to be good, right? Where's the ban button? Here we go. Banned. Joe Black banned. That's part of misinformation. Traders and I guess internet in general, right? That's how the internet is. They just see one thing. Maybe they don't know what the heck they're even talking about, and they don't even want to do their own research. But people never cease to amaze me. It's that's always going to be. That's always going to be all the time with the internet and on YouTube, and the chat is never going to be there's never going to be a lack of people that just amaze me on the lack of due diligence, to be put nicely. Yeah, I don't know where people get some of the information that they get. Yeah, just real quick so everybody knows before we get started. Yes, my account balance $345,000 account balance. This is my high water mark is 385, and yeah, you guys can see the leaderboard. The leaderboard is 530, I think, 530,000, and that includes everything. That includes my previous live account that I took the payouts from, and includes this current live account that I had to start back from zero because I switched from the NinjaTrader platform to Topstep X. Now, anyway, that's all the entertainment I'm going to be, the attention I'm going to give somebody like that before I get them permabanned. So usually I have kind of a very long and decent amount of patience with traders in the chat, but when it comes to traders and the level of stupidity, that's only so much, right? Like we could have good conversation, we could have some good back and forth. I love conversation, and I absolutely love conflict when it comes to constructive, right? There's constructive criticism, there's good debates, there's back and forth, there's, different opinions that could help each other grow. But then there's a level of stupidity where someone has no idea what they might be talking about, or they don't even care to take the time to look and do their own due diligence. And sometimes that's just how it is. Time to request a payout, and I'm not going to be requesting a payout for a while. Yeah, that's what we want. It's about transparency. Everything is recorded on YouTube. You see everything on YouTube, and that's the beautiful thing about Topstep, right? Regardless of whether it's me or Coach Jay or anybody else on Topstep TV, it's 100% transparent. I love that. I don't get treated any special way than anybody else. I'm just a trader at first. I came here. Technically, I don't have any inside information that nobody else does. And hopefully we don't run into buffering issues. The lag is going to work its way out. Yeah, the lag will work its way out. Don't worry. We run into this every night lately. So just maybe refresh. I'm going to see if I can refresh it on my end, do the regular tests, but should be okay. Let me see. It's streaming in 4K. Yeah, we have 1440p, so the lag should work its way out. I think what happens is we have a flood of traders joining the stream at a specific time, and I think that starts it buffering. I don't know. I have no idea. I've tested it many, many times the past few weeks, and I can't find why it's buffering. You thought it was your Starlink? No, it's not my internet. It's probably not any of your guys' internet. I think it has to do with something like YouTube, maybe the connection. I don't know. But lately it's been working its way out after the first few minutes. So give me a few seconds. I'm going to get everything set up like I usually do, and then we'll get into it. Let's go through here. All right. Anyway, let's get going, everybody. Welcome to Slow Markets. I'm Coach Dakota, Coach DBA. As always, into the YouTube chat, you guys can take a look. There's our Topstep risk disclosure. This is for educational purposes only. It's not used as a signals class, just to learn and get better together as traders. And yeah, everything's all fun and good. Richard Harris mentioning on the chat, it's the Topstep Trading League is going to be absolutely fun. I have my team name. We all know it. It's Pop Squad, process over profits. I'm excited. I continue to get more and more excited the closer it gets here. And on top of that, the leaderboard is, honestly, it's purely for fun. It's fun competition. Rafa reached out to me and he's like, yeah, I'm your competitor. And I'm like, not really. We're kind of into this together. It's fun. It's really fun to see, and it's part of what makes the leaderboard, the Topstep Trading League, so exciting. Now, as you can see in front of me and behind me, to the side of me, whatever, we have the NASDAQ Daily. The NASDAQ Daily. We're getting into a interesting part of this, and take a look at this. Take a look at this. That was not a big surprise, right? It happened before. I was talking about it, and sure enough, we sold off, and we had a nice, 6-day sell-off, and we had 1 day of rally, just 1 day, one green day. That's it. We had good inflation data, one good day, and we rejected down off this trend line. I like this. I really do, because it continues to give us reference points from a technical. I'm a technical trader. And I like to see these reference points, because the more it tests this, right? If we come up and we test it again, and then we pull back, and then say we test it again, the more we test it, if or when we get a breakout, sometimes it's a lot easier to see. It's a lot easier to recognize, and the momentum could be a lot greater. And so I like to see it test more and more. If we are going to break out to the long side, right? And on the flip side, we can take a look and we could say, is this a flagging pattern, right? Is this a flagging pattern? Now we know we could have the 2 days where we wicked down here below, like into the 800s. But yeah, this is looking like a flagging pattern to me. Now, is it going to break to the long side or the downside? It's anybody's guess, but in theory, the trend is up and to the right, and you would assume that it would break in the direction of the current trend, and usually that's up and to the right. The one thing that I was talking with Eddie and Hoag was, take a look at this. This is on the daily. We held that as support. I'm going to talk about this tomorrow with Hoag and the team. I say, hey, you remember that 4 hour and this trend line? It sure enough held. And if you were brave enough to buy it right there, that was an amazing entry. Unfortunately, I was getting long down here. I didn't hold it as much as I wish I could have. But yeah, beautiful long entry. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Maybe we continue down towards this 21,000 area again. Maybe we consolidate and we continue to condense in smaller consolidation until we break one direction or the other. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays. Let's zoom into an hourly chart. So now we start to zoom in, and you know what? From the hourly chart, this is looking bullish. This is looking pretty bullish from an hourly chart, right? support, support, support. We sold off. This is becoming support again. And so that's looking actually pretty good for the long side. We had this big rally. We were getting a pullback, and I'm sure that's probably a Fibonacci level, right? For all the fib traders, is that a fib level? I mean, it's what, 50%, 61.8, however you want to draw your fibs. I mean, it's really up to you. I don't know. I'm not much of a fib trader, too much, but yeah, I mean, you could consider that some type of level. It's at least 50%, but we are bouncing off this level of support. And yeah, we're finding some buyers. That makes me really curious. My love-hate relationship with the Nikkei selling off. I'll go back to the Nikkei in a little bit. I just got to keep my one eye on the Nikkei the way it has been. So tomorrow is Friday. It's the last trading day of the week. We see some volatility. I am probably going to be going into tomorrow with a buy the dip type of mentality. Maybe we could have a bit of a sell-off and look for some buying down here in this zone around this 21,100. And I would like to see the market sell off to there. Maybe it won't. Next level, I mean, we almost got to that one. And I think that's about it. Just looking for this market to sell off so I could buy it. If not, and if we do end up rallying tonight and overnight, then yeah, just looking for key support and resistance zones going into tomorrow, going into tonight. If we're looking for an overnight trade, I mean, that could have been a really good one. This is a 1 hour chart where we got this nice 3-bar reversal. We just crossed over that since I started class. We're starting to rally. And so, yeah, buying wouldn't be too bad, right? Where we could buy and look for the markets to return up to these 300s. I'm going to jump over to the Nikkei. I'm sorry, watching. I have my one eye on the Nikkei. The Nikkei has been a love-hate relationship for me. This is the Japanese market, and you could see last night where were we at? This is a 1 hour chart. You can see last night where we had that nice fake out. Well, I was one of those that got faked out into a long and took a loss. And now here we are down to the bottom, and we are breaking down. And yeah, are we gonna? It's looking relatively likely that we come down and test this, 38,000, 37,900 level. I mean, we're already pushing so far tonight. Like, that's quite the move already. What is this move? We're 1% on this move already. So I wouldn't be surprised with continuation. Let's move back to the NASDAQ. I'm going to bounce back and forth, but I think I'm going to be focusing on the NASDAQ a lot more. I'm going to focus on the NASDAQ a lot more. Let me look at the 5-minute chart. Yeah, look at the NASDAQ on the 5-minute. We're continuing to find buyers. We are running into this level of resistance. There's a few levels of resistance right here in the NASDAQ, but this came during power hour. Let me look. I'm taking a look. Power hour. So this is where we closed, right? This is basically where we closed the New York session. This is where we opened up. So we are above where we closed and opened up. Not by too much, by 30 points. 30 points isn't too bad. Let's see. Yeah, we have some ways to go. I could see this market drifting higher for sure. Let's take a look. I might jump into the Nikkei tonight. We're gonna see if we get a nice push lower during class. I might get into a Nikkei long. We'll see. I want to see if the Nikkei can sell off down here towards 38,000, maybe 37,900. It's looking heavy. It really is. But I would be okay with getting in long down here around these 37.9, 38, 37.9, somewhere around there. So if this does set up, I'm going to get in. So I'm going to keep this always on the side. Yeah, I'm keeping that on the side. So that way I'm going to keep a watch on it. I'm going to watch the Nikkei tonight, and I'm sure the chat could watch the Nikkei for me as well. And then if it does have continuation down, they could, you guys could let me know, shout it out, see if a trade opportunity does present itself. Yeah, that being said, I'm going to switch over to the combine, the demo, to take a look at crude oil. Let's take a look at crude oil. And we didn't. Okay, I got to set that up again so I can continue to watch the Nikkei. Got to keep my eye on the Nikkei. And let's take a look at crude oil. Crude oil hourly chart. And it looks like today we sold off, huh? Today during the New York session, crude oil finally had a bit of a sell-off. And yeah, I think that sell-off was obviously it was because it's past tense now. Was a decent buying opportunity. I could see crude oil maybe making another leg higher. Like I said, $80 a barrel is a key level for crude, and it's been a buy the dip market as of late for the past couple of weeks. And so we're starting to see this volatility in crude oil that I like and that I enjoy as a trader. And so as long as we continue to see this volatility in crude oil, I can now start looking for opportunities. And yeah, crude oil has now been more tradable. I'm not seeing anything else. Let me zoom out into the daily. The daily is a tough one, right? Because it looks like we're just overextended, but we could continue to, I mean, look at some of these rallies on crude. It could keep going. Like this is quite the rally in crude of 2023, right? Big rally. Here, there's a few other rallies. And so this is a big rally as of late because it has not been very volatile. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out, to see if we can come up and test this, the highs back in April. And I mean, we're already right there from July. So now, keep an eye on crude oil a lot more in the upcoming weeks because we are seeing this additional volatility. And as traders, we love volatility, and there are more and more opportunities when we get the volatility. Let's take a look at gold, and then we'll get to some questions. I'm going to continue to look at the Nikkei. Gold 1 hour charts. I mean, buy the dip. I was talking with Coach Jay last night, right? We was talking with Coach Jay saying these are buyable dips, higher lows, higher highs, and we're continuing to see these higher highs. And sure enough, guess what? We made a higher high, and it might look and seem easy. It's hard to trade it, but as we were looking at this with Coach Jay last night, sure enough, gold put in another higher high, and what I'm going to look for is the same thing. Maybe we have a sell-off, and I'm going to look for a higher low, and then maybe an opportunity to buy gold as well. I don't want to buy it up here. You can see that there's these levels that could be acting as reserve tomorrow. It's probably not going to be tomorrow. It's maybe going to be Monday or Tuesday if we do see a pullback. But yeah, looking for those pullbacks in gold. Until then, there's not really much going on. If we zoom into a 5-minute chart, yeah, I think it's more of the same. You can see this consolidation, it looked like happened in the morning. That's very messy. That's hard to trade. And we're kind of still in that zone from the New York session open in the morning. So there's a lot of chop and consolidation on the 5-minute. And I personally am not seeing any opportunities. It's hard to short this market. If we do break below these 42s, maybe we could see that pullback that we've seen on the hourly chart, right? Because I'm looking at the hourly chart. So yeah, we'll see. Bouncing back to the NASDAQ. NASDAQ's continuing to find buyers. Buying opportunity in the NASDAQ. Let's go back to the live account. Yeah, that was a good pullback to buy, but I was not looking at the market, and it was in between, right? It just happened at that time. Worst timing. Didn't give us really that opportunity to buy it down there because it happened at the end of power hour, right? And so the next opportunity wasn't until these 20s, but still there was an opportunity on this 3-bar reversal on the 1 hour chart, right? If we would be able to get in toward in these 40s here on the NASDAQ. Let me see. We can continue to just keep going. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to buy right now just because I don't want to be buying going into this resistance. I would just like crude oil, just like gold, waiting for a pullback and then buying on the pullback. Not going to chase it. But in other notes, we could take a look at the Nikkei. We could watch the Nikkei again tonight and see how that one's doing. Zooming out. Continuing to push lower. I like it. I want to see just a nice drop in the Nikkei towards this. I don't know if we'll see 38,000. If we do, I'm going to find that opportunity. Until then, we'll continue to push lower. Until then, let's get to some questions. We'll go over, answer more questions. We could talk more. I've been thinking about scalping. If you guys were here yesterday, I was talking more about scalping in terms of compared to how I trade, right? Everyone knows how I typically trade, but maybe taking some more shorter term trades, smaller take profits, like 5 points in the NASDAQ, 8 points, 10 points in the NASDAQ. That's really small compared to what I typically trade. So I've been thinking about that. I've been reviewing some of my old trading, and unfortunately, I haven't done much of it on TopstepTV, so I don't have any recordings I could go over. But yeah, tomorrow should be good, and I might be doing some of that in the near future. Can you show how you will do that? I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do it in terms of like this is exactly, but essentially it's going to be the same thing you see me do every single time, but on a different, on a smaller scale, right? So it's the same way I look at the markets, but I'm going to do it on a smaller scale. Let me explain that, right? So here's the NASDAQ on the hourly chart. I'm going to use a 5-minute chart. I like the setups on the 5-minute chart regardless, but this would be a decent example, right? You can see that there's a lot of resistance right here. So now this is hindsight, so take this with a grain of salt. There's a lot of resistance here. So my scalp would be like a buy stop on the break of the resistance and a take profit for like 10 points, right? So maybe a take profit for 10 points, maybe a take profit for 5 points, right? Just a really quick in and out. But then my stop loss would probably either be below this pivot right here, or it'll be below, say, like this pivot, right? This is where I'm having the hardest time for me, because this is an upside down risk reward, right? Upside down risk reward. This is an upside down risk reward. This is like a 1 to 2 opposite. This is like a 1 to 3 opposite. But that's the thing. When you trade high percent strategies, like the odds of this making money or being correct are, I would say, higher than 50%. I would even say 75%. I would say this working out and me making money on this trade, if this breaks out of 43, gets to 48, I would say it's 75%. It's much, much higher than what you typically see me trade. Now, the higher the percentage trade, typically you get an upside down risk reward. Now, I say typically. If you have a good edge, if you have some type of good strategy or quote edge, of course it's going to be skewed depending on how you are as a trader. But if you just close your eyes and just click buy, the odds of it going 5 points in this direction compared to, say, 20 points this other direction, you can understand odds, you can understand probabilities, and that's not taking into any consideration, technical analysis, setups, or edge, or any of that. So that is an example that I've been thinking about and I have been thinking over. We will see how it works out. I'm going to try a few of those. It's going to be high probability, low upside down risk reward. And see how it goes. I'm going to do it in live accounts, obviously, because you can't replace the slippage. Live account, you get slippage in a live account. And so it's only fair to demonstrate that. And yeah, because I have plenty of experience doing this, and I have plenty of experience trading like this. I actually used to trade like this in Forex very long time ago. And yeah, I feel comfortable doing it with 5 minis in the NASDAQ. So I'm going to try and do it with 5 minis in the NASDAQ. If I see a good setup tomorrow morning, I'm going to take it. I'm going to go at it. Questions. Yes, questions. I'm watching this Nikkei and really wanting it to sell off a lot more. It's already sold off quite a bit, right? Where did we open up? We opened up. Yeah, it looks like, once again, this is where we opened. We had a nice little rally to start the session here in the Nikkei, and then we just sold off. That's the same thing it did yesterday. We have a nice little rally to start the session. What was that? Up almost 0.5%. And then we just sold off. We sold off 1% from that high. I do want to just get in long. We are right here. What's the low of this? This is like the 130s. We're not quite there yet. So if this bounces, we might bounce right off this. I would not be surprised that if we find a rally off these 130s, this zone that we're at right now. Next stop is really going to be these 37,900s. We've already moved pretty far tonight, and everyone who is long in this zone, we all know their stops will possibly be right where we're at right now. All the news in Nikkei is negative. Yeah, it's not looking too great. Comparing that to, say, like the NASDAQ, this is why I don't like looking at this. This is why I do not like looking at correlation, right? Because the NASDAQ's rallying the past 3 hours, 4 hours now, and the Nikkei is just selling off. And so that's why I tend to not look at correlation. Dakota, you're killing it. Why change your strategy for a poor RTOR? It's profitable, right? And there's a way to do it where you're profitable and you make money. And yeah, I'm not opposed for doing it. And for me, like I said, I'm not saying that this account doesn't matter to me, but to me, it's more about the education. And yeah, it's going to be a whole lot better for me sitting there, and I really do enjoy it. I think there could be some good opportunities, and yeah, the ups and downs with trading, right? Yeah, you have to look at the right correlation pair. Yeah, like the NASDAQ and the Nikkei. Yeah, that's why I don't look at those as correlation. I just do not look at correlation in general, and let that dictate any of my trades. How do you look for a reversal or a continuation? There's many ways you could look at for a reversal or a continuation. You can see over here on the left, I have an hourly chart. Over here on the right-hand side, I have a 5-minute chart. And a reversal could be something like a double bottom or a 3-bar reversal where we start to break the high, right? If we do get above this 210, so you could say that's a reversal. A continuation could be something where we break below the previous pivot, like this is a pivot, or this is the last little area of support. And if we break down, odds are we could continue, right? Pharma, it's going to be all in, all out. Like scalping to me is really quick, right? It's like less than 10 minutes, maybe even less than 5 minutes. And you don't really have the time to scale in and scale out. Scalping like that, I think it's going to be all in, all out. I might leave like one contract on as a runner. Cahoon LA even says seconds. Yeah, I mean, depending on how volatile the market you're trading is, a scalp could be seconds, right? Where you're in and out really quick. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. How many funded accounts have you blown before finding your edge or consistency? So, Mr. Luciano, so there's my personal accounts that I put money into my personal brokerage when I was learning how to trade, and I've blown a few of them, right? And so I don't know the exact number, to be honest. It's been a few. It's been, I think I went through 3. Like I've sent like 3 full accounts of my personal money when I was learning how to trade, until I started to like get better and start to see some consistency. On the session open, yeah, on like the New York session open, yeah, or like right after news events, of course. Of course, there's going to be seconds. When would you take your first payout? I'm up $5,800 on my XFA. I don't need the money in. Should I keep growing it to a certain amount and then take a payout? Zach, this is a good question. Hoag and I went over this not too long ago. Yeah, it wasn't too long ago. Hoag and I went over it. The payout depends on you as an individual, and I think it evolves more around the way you trade. If you take out half of it, is it going to affect the way you trade? If the answer is yes, then don't take out half, right? Maybe take out a smaller amount. So it's tough to give a very blanket or a solid answer on. Yeah, make sure you feel comfortable taking the money out, and you're not going to put yourself in a situation where you change the way you trade. All right, Nikkei is reversing. I did not get those 40s, and I did not get that push down. This is one heck of a move. I should have just freaking bought it. I can't tell you guys how tempted I was to buy this. We were bouncing right off this level. Let's see if it gives me another opportunity. I'm going to get in. Get a push down to maybe these 200, maybe 190s. He should take the payout and send it to me. I scalped with 15 contracts before. Yeah, the more contracts you end up scalping with, the harder it is. The harder it is, the more you scalp with. How many funded is going through? Yeah, keep the questions coming. Keep the questions coming. We're only 30 minutes in, and it seems like it's been an hour. We got that move from 140 to 240. 140 to 240. Let me take a look at this. This is back in August, September. we have a lot of support. We have a lot of support right here in these around 38,000. The question is, can we see that tonight or tomorrow? Yeah, sorry, I'm looking at this market. I'm thinking at this market. Market for me comes first. And if I have a second, I will answer some questions. And let me take a look at the news. Better than expected. Nothing too crazy going on tonight, right? Everything's already came out. So it's nice and quiet overnight, nice and quiet. We're sitting at 120. We're sitting at 220. 220. We bounced. The low is 40. This is the low of that. So it would make sense we bounced. The question I'm trying to answer for myself is, how realistic is it that we come down and see this level? How realistic would it be to see these 800s come into play tonight? That's what I'm asking myself. We actually even have this level too. $50-50. Yeah, that's, and let's see if I have a 200 stop loss. Let's see if we get in here. 225. My stop would be 0.25. I just want to take a look at my risk right now. And my risk is not right where I want it to be. 150. Yeah, it's just hard because where do I put my stop loss? I think possibly my stop would be right up against this, the low of this. Entry, stop, right? That's what I'm thinking of right now. Was if this is my entry up here and then my stop is down there, but then what's the potential reward? Where could we see this market going? Let me zoom in. And the potential reward, I would maybe even look at as this. It's close to a 1-to-1. Let's take a look at this. Even if I do that, yeah, this is basically a 1-to-1 risk reward trade for me. We'll see. I think I'm gonna just wait and see if we come down. So this is what I want. This is what I think I'm gonna look at right now. I think I'm gonna zoom in, and if we can have a pullback to say these 180s, and then we start to rally, I'll wait and maybe get in on something like right there. I think that's what I'm going to wait for. That might be better. And then I'll miss it. We got to 240. That was a sell-off. That was quite the sell-off. Now that I'm looking at it on the 1 minute, you can see where we opened. Where did we open at? We opened at here. That was quite the sell-off. All right, let me think about it. I'll ponder it for a moment. I'll ponder it a moment and see how price reacts. If I miss it, I miss it. It would suck, but that would be okay, unfortunately. Do you mostly day trade or swing trade when trading options? Jeremiah, when I trade options, it's always over a week, usually over a week. Do you have any commissions on a live account? Yes. Can you give a quick explanation on how you got to and grew your live account up so much? Kevin, it took a whole year, right? Well, I mean, it took about 6 months to grow my live account, but yeah, I started like everybody else. Started in combines, traded XFAs, copy traded 5 accounts in XFAs, trading 15, like not even 15. I think it was like 5 contracts. Built a buffer, then started trading 10 contracts, and continued to grow it, and then I got transferred to a live account. In the live account, I basically did exactly the same. For example, if I'm copy trading 5 XFAs, 1 contract on 5 XFAs is technically 5 contracts, right? So in my live account, I just trade 5 contracts, right? And that's basically how I grew this live account. Do you think the markets will change long term after president inauguration? I can't answer that one because I don't know. What makes you say gold price action is finally becoming tradable? Man bear, I'm just saying it has an increase in volatility. So if we take a look at gold, and maybe I'll take a look at gold in just a moment after I finish watching this trade, and I'll review it. Indecisiveness, right? Can I chalk this one up to just being indecisive? Mo. Yeah, I'm chalking this one up for indecisiveness. Oh, damn it. How do you avoid ranges or consolidation? It's hard to. And that's why I was talking about, is the market tradable? How volatile is it? Are we in a range? Are we breaking out? Are we going back into a range? That's part of what I was thinking about on this. If we take a look at this 1 hour chart here in the Nikkei, that's kind of what I was thinking, was we're in the range. Now, are we going to break out and have a continuation down, right? Is this breaking down from the range? Is this breaking out? It looked like it, but as soon as we started to hold these 150s, 160s, then this is part of what my thinking was, well, can we accept back into this range, right? Is there a possibility? Because everybody who is long in this consolidation, you could basically have an idea that this is where their stop loss was. And so maybe it would make sense that we came down, we ran stops, and then we could have a possible, rally back up into it. So that is part of my thought process and kind of what I was thinking. And hesitation got the best of me, I think, on this example, where I was really deciding right here to buy this. And yeah, now obviously with hindsight, I should have bought it. Do you think that trading with others can actually hurt developing traders if they're not gaining confidence in their own systems, developing their own edge? Jeremiah Bleacher, that's a good question. Do I feel like trading with other traders can hurt your trading, hurt your development? I would say it depends. And yeah, I've wondered this because we have an amazing community. We have a huge Discord, an amazing community. I think trading with others depends on you. If you trade with others, it can hurt your growth and it can hurt your own personal thinking, right? Like think for yourself type mentality, compared to you're trading with somebody and they're helping you and you're learning from their mistakes and you're kind of seeing what they're doing and seeing their success and kind of, following that path. And it depends on the way you are as an individual, because are you the type of person that, can think for yourself, can make your own decisions, can design everything and then learn from others and have good constructive conversation? Or Yeah, I've seen both. I've seen traders get too involved with the community and they go from one strategy to another, then they see another trader and then they bounce and they get so lost from who they're with and they lose their sense of independency and learning how to trade themselves. And then on the opposite side, right? I've seen traders just grow so fast and become such better traders from having a community, from talking through with others their ups and downs and bouncing ideas off of others. So it depends on how you view it. It really does. How are you doing the order blocks? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Jimmy Mercy. Order blocks. What do you mean? How am I doing the order blocks? I heard that you lost a live before and come back stronger. If that's true, how do you make it? And what lessons you learned? I've lost a few live accounts. It's not just a single live account. I've lost a few. I lost one at the beginning when I took out the big payout and then I switched platforms. And when I was first started to learn, I've lost live accounts. I mean, it's I don't know. I can't even count. I was thinking maybe like 4 or 5 live accounts. Now, this is not just prop firm, right? This is my personal money I sent to the brokerage when I was first learning how to trade, and I lose money, right? I would say 5, and that's me taking a guess. Yeah, it's possible to watch 2 assets on TopstepX. Look, I have the Nikkei on the left. I could, go ahead and click on and make like the NASDAQ on the, or Nikkei on the right, NASDAQ on the left. That's, I don't. I treat trade buddies as emotional support, but never allow my trade to be influenced by theirs. Yeah, that's how you should, right? Like that's kind of what TopstepTV is. It should be used as a good source of entertainment, learning, education, but you should never be like, oh wow, everyone's buying the NASDAQ on TopstepTV. I should do that, right? And it just those are the traders that frustrate me the most, where I see that traders are taking trades based off of what other people are thinking that the market's going to do. And then vice versa. I'm like, well, these guys always lose money. I'm just going to fade them. And it's like, well, you understand the NASDAQ moves a lot and the stream's on a delay. And what's going to happen if TopstepTV goes away? Are you going to be able to think for yourself? Right? That goes back to being independent, being able to think for yourself, being able to come up with your own trade ideas. Because I lose money, I lose trades, I make money, I win trades, right? It depends. And same with everybody else on TopstepTV. You never know which trade is going to be a winner, which trade is going to be a loser. How did you better yourself with risk management? That's a hard question. That one's long. Look at this market now. Yeah, this is a good example of where hesitation. Sometimes you just don't need to hesitate. Overthink and hesitation can do this, right? This was a good example for everybody on sometimes, yeah, I'm human. Part of it is because I'm in the middle of the stream and I don't want to really, yeah, I overanalyze, right? I overanalyzed and, yeah, I hesitated buying here at the 220s and here we are getting ready to push up into these 300s. And my target was going to be up here around 360s. Like this is my target up here around these 360s, 350s. So here you go. Beautiful recording of hesitation can also be bad, right? Overanalyze, overthink it, over analysis, paralysis by over analysis, rather than just take the trade. Does ES have better price action than the NQ and YM? Tevin Johnson, yes, the ES does have better price action depending on how you trade it. I would say during the New York session, I would say NASDAQ has better price action for the way I trade it. ES has better price action for traders who don't like the more volatile and whipsaw markets, more consistent. I would definitely say ES is more consistent. So for a new trader, if you are brand new at trading, I would recommend trading the ES during the New York session. And that's as honest as it gets. If you're a new trader, if you're learning, if you haven't taken a payout, if you want to know what market you want to trade, then I would steer you in the direction to the ES during the New York session, and you would most likely find more consistency because it's a lot less crazy. It's a lot less crazy, and yeah, NASDAQ's going up. Yeah. Man, that's a sucky one, guys. Everybody, this one hurts me. Bryce, why is that horrible advice? Explain. Don't just come in here and say horrible advice without any context. That's the best advice, to be honest, Bryce and D, is if you are a new trader and if you're learning how to trade, the ES is a much better instrument to trade for new traders. It's a lot less crazy comparing that to the NASDAQ. It's a lot less crazy than the Nikkei or any of these other markets. So don't come into the chat and say this is bad advice without any explanation. That's just excuse. And I know it for a fact, to be honest, because I see traders all the time, thousands of traders. I've been here. I've done that. And I've seen traders and which ones find the most success in which markets. And if you're a brand new trader, say right out of high school, right out of college, or you're learning the markets for the first time, it's the ES, 100%. And I could even prove it to you right here. We could pull up the ES on one side, and we could pull up the NASDAQ on the other. So here's the ES on the left. Let's make sure. And then I'll pull up the NASDAQ on the other. And let's pull up an hourly chart on each. Let's do this, okay? And I'm going to explain this. So if we pull up an hourly chart, let's make sure. We have the NASDAQ on the right here. This is the NASDAQ. And we have the ES on the left, okay? And if we want to just look at just general price action, just first off, and I could guarantee I could find so many different examples of this. So we want to, let me just make sure I have that 1 hour chart. So we want to look at, in terms of price action, volatility, and consistency, right? You could pull up an ATR. You could see how volatile each one is, right? And you know what? It's fair to say that you could have your own opinion, but yeah, saying just something's bad advice without any context pisses me off. But yeah, let's just take a look at this. Look how crazy. Let me make sure these are exactly the same. I want to make sure it's exactly the same. Okay. Look how crazy some of the price action on the NASDAQ is compared to the ES. And especially in terms of volatility points, we could sit here and go in depth for a while. And let's take a look at this move. We'll say 2% move, 113 points on, or 113 on the ES, and we're going by ticks, right? And we also have to understand the tick value, okay? The tick value, the point value. Remember NASDAQ, it's $20 per point. And then we go ahead and we take a look at the NASDAQ during that same period of time, from top to bottom, from there to there. 480 points, right? And that's $20 per point. Now, understand the point value, understand the different comparisons, understand that on just a single move. And now it's not only that, as we start to zoom in, and what most traders do, which we're day trading, we're in and out of these positions like really quick, right? And if we start to zoom in, there's many examples of this, and I want to make sure we could get a decent comparison. Let me make sure. ES, NASDAQ. And we look at this in just general terms. Which one's easier? Oh man, I don't like using the word easier, right? Because easier, it really depends, right? It really does. Take a look at, I would say, I'm just trying to think of a way to explain this without, because this is what I'm passionate about. Because when I give traders advice, it comes from the heart, right? And I'm trying to think of how I could explain this a lot better without, I would say, an untrained eye and understanding how this works when it comes to consistency. Over here on the right-hand side is the NASDAQ, right? And trying to find consistency on selling this market, right? Like we're from a technical trader, right? Consistency on selling this market, consistency on pattern recognition, running stops, having this. And then we take a look at, say, the ES, right? It's immediately from the way I view the markets, the consistency is much easier to judge on the ES. It really is. Like, look at this. This is a lot more consistent compared to the NASDAQ, comparing this to the NASDAQ. And as we continue to zoom in, this might not be the best example, but as we continue to zoom in, right? Like if as we start to zoom in consolidations, and we could go back through this in different scenarios and different consolidations and different ones. Take a look at this. This is what kills a lot of traders. Okay, this was just today. Okay, look at these runs and just pay attention to this. Look at this run. Do you see this? This is what will kill a lot of traders. Compare that to the ES. The ES did not break that low, and then it rallied right back up here. The NASDAQ did, right? That is a good example of comparing the two. Now, they both can do the same, but the NASDAQ does this so much more than the ES. ES is on the left, NASDAQ is on the right. But the NASDAQ, it can move 10 points randomly, right? The NASDAQ can move 10 points randomly, break through support or resistance, run stops, and move the other direction. The ES, it does run stops. It can do it, right? But it doesn't do it as frequently, and it's more consistent when it comes to support and resistance. So if you are a new trader, I have seen so many examples of the ES being more consistent when it comes to trades and when it comes to support and resistance and everything from a technical standpoint than the NASDAQ. Now, they are relatively correlated, right? Because if the ES sells off 10%, NASDAQ is usually bearish too. But I mean, there's just so many examples that I have seen since I've ever started trading, because I've spent a lot of time looking at the ES and the NASDAQ, and they are very similar. But when it comes to the little fine nuances, when it comes to where you put your stops, how your stops are set, where you put your take profits, how often it gets there, then it's hard to compare the two, because the ES is a lot more consistent. So even though I trade the NASDAQ, even though there's a lot of traders that come on to TopstepTV, they trade the NASDAQ, they call it, and they joke about it, the nickname is the NASCrack, right, for a reason, because it's very crazy. It can move 10 points in any direction for no reason, and yeah, that's where it gets its name from. It's it's technology, right? Technology is very volatile and it can move very fast. And comparing that to the ES, it's two different ball games. It's two different markets completely. Even though you can see there's a level of correlation, right? We had this sell-off, and then the ES has recovered most of it. And then comparing this to the NASDAQ, we had the sell-off, and the NASDAQ has not recovered as much, right? There is a level of correlation. I don't know what that would be. It changes from time to time. But yeah, any new trader, I would always recommend the ES. Maybe they don't like the ES and they could switch over to the NASDAQ and they find more success in the NASDAQ. There's always going to be traders that like the NASDAQ more and they find the NASDAQ easier, right? Or they're better at trading the NASDAQ. But there's a reason why the ES is a lot better. And yeah, I see some traders pointing this out. This is just another example of why the ES is a lot better. Let's take a look at this. This is the NASDAQ order book. This is the NASDAQ order book. Single digits. All of this is single digits. So any person or any institute or any hedge fund, or heck, even me, right? If I trade 30 contracts, I could push this market 5 points in any direction. If I enter buy market, I could push the market. A hedge fund could come in here, buy market 100 contracts, and push the NASDAQ in any direction they want. Now, with the ES, if we switch this to the ES, let's make sure that's a lot harder to do. You can't just bully and push around the ES as easy as you can the NASDAQ. It's a lot thicker, right? See, there's double digits on all of them. 5 contracts is not going to really move this market. I mean, it's not. 100 contracts, sure, you might move it 3 ticks, but you're not going to be moving it like you can move the NASDAQ and manipulate it like you can manipulate the NASDAQ. 100 contracts on the NASDAQ, where's the next 100 contracts, right? Count it. We would be up here into the 80s. And that's why you see some crazy moves that happen in the NASDAQ that new traders, they either overthink it. Like, oh, well, what caused that? What caused this? And there's like, what happened right here? Like this could be a good example. I don't know. We just sold off 11 points in 1 minute for whatever reason. And like, that's the NASDAQ, right? And then we take a look at the ES and we look at the same thing. And it's like, okay, well, you know what? We had similar, right? But it's not as crazy. Right? It's not as crazy when we compare it to like the dollar amount, the point value, and 2. That's 2.25. That's nothing. Anyway, that's the comparison. Yeah, you can just see it's just so more consistent. Like see, even on the 1 minute chart tonight, it's so consistent. And I've considered trading it. I just love the volatility. I love the volatility in the NASDAQ, and that's just me. It's not about the overall thing because I mean, it's more about this, right? This is what matters. How do you handle your stops? How do you handle these types of situations? Like, how do you handle the stop runs? How do you handle the craziness of the NASDAQ on a day-to-day basis? It's hard. It's hard for the NASDAQ. I've spent countless days doing analysis, and I still spend it, right? Every single day here on Topstep TV, I talk about the NASDAQ. I look at the NASDAQ. I look at all these other markets, and I will never recommend any other market as a new trader other than the ES. That'd be awesome for you to add the ES to the night. The ES is too slow for slow markets. It's essentially the same thing in terms of the technical analysis, because they are so correlated. There's small differences, but I would be spreading my attention span just too much. I would have too much to spread my attention span. Yeah, and even this. Look at the end, the New York close. If someone had their stops below this, right? Traders who had their stops below that, they got ran. Traders who had their stops in the ES, this didn't run those stops. I can almost guarantee you traders had stops on that pivot. That's where I would have my stop. NASDAQ definitely ran that. NASDAQ ran these stops too, right? If they had stops below that one. Yes, we didn't run the stops from January 15th, right? See, there's a little fine difference right there. The Nas crack. Bitcoin. We could take a look at Bitcoin. Let me get back to one market again. We'll go back to one chart. So we'll take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's right back up. Bitcoin is if you want to talk about something worse than the NASDAQ, that's Bitcoin. Bitcoin, makes the NASDAQ look like it's the bonds, to be honest. Look how crazy Bitcoin is, right? These are 13% up, 14% up. Yeah, Bitcoin makes the NASDAQ just look like it's child's play. This is crazy, these moves here. But once again, 100,000. We're up above 100,000. Do we break? $100,000 just seems like it's irrelevant anymore, right? We've just been back and forth around that number so often. What's next? Are we gonna go right back down? I don't. Like I said, I see us consolidating around 100,000 for a while. I've said that for the past few months, right? It's December, January, and I still see us consolidating around 100,000 for the foreseeable future until something changes and we start to break above 110. It's hard. 100,000 is such a psychological level. Bitcoin is NASDAQ's drunk uncle. Dakota, press down right on the chart where the date numbers. I don't get it. Next to the hex symbol and press auto fit. I'm not sure what you're meaning by that. I just have a habit of moving the charts manually. W shorts chat. NASDAQ's selling off. Right? That nice level of resistance, right? This level of resistance. What's the Nikkei doing? Didn't really get to the target. Interesting. This would be, I would be tempted. I'm going to be honest. This is, could be buyable. I could see buying this. I could see buying this right here. How should a somewhat new trader implement proper trading psychology into their mentality? Practice trading, of course, but any lifestyle practice, meditation, affirmations, etc. NNS, great question. This is the questions I like. This is the questions I want. This is the questions that I think are some of the most important. This is outside of trading, right? The stuff you do in your life that you don't think about affects your trading. It does. It really does. When it comes to your daily routine, what you eat, like what you put in your body, like eat, drink, smoke, whatever, and how well you're sleeping, your alarm clock, your like every routine and every aspect in your life has an effect on the psychology, on your psyche, right? And then ultimately it has an effect on how you trade. And so this is a good question. And I would say my best advice when it comes to that, NNS, is do everything you possibly can to be consistent in your life and be healthy. Like work out, eat healthier, right? Every little words of advice that you hear, that just you hear it all the time from everybody and all the social media and all of the TV. It's just the facts, and that's the reason why you hear it everywhere. It's like eat healthier, drink more water, take care of your body, get sleep, and be consistent at it. I think the harder part that I find personally is I could do it in a day, right? I could drink water all day, and I could get a good night's of sleep for a day, and I could be active for a day. But the harder part is doing it consistently, just like in the markets. It's harder to do it every single day consistently. Just like the markets, anybody could get lucky and make money for a day, but do that over a long period of time takes discipline. Yeah, that was a decent buy right down there at the 62s. But yeah, I think that's the best advice I could have. It is everything you do in your day-to-day life does trickle into your trading. Hayes Records. Consistency is a habit. Yep. It's not all just about the cocaine and hookers. Yeah, Wolf of Wall Street lied, unfortunately. Or fortunately. Should I say that? Oh, man. I see a lot of questions coming in about requests. So any requests that you have or features that you want on Topstep X, just set them here. Set them here in the support, right? Support. You have this. I mean, there's a lot of features, the roadmap, and you could just go through and take a look. Take some time, look at this. Any questions you have, there's some tutorials, and yeah, it's a nice built out. This answers the majority of the questions that I do see coming in that I don't want to spend my time answering. Richard Harris, you drink a strawberry wine cooler almost every night. They say a glass of wine every day could be okay. Nobody will tell us the truth about the markets. What's the truth about the markets, Mike? Ever dropped down to a 5-second chart? No, I haven't. I like the 100 tick chart because it helps me understand volatility. And yeah, I mean, you could technically read volume. The more candles that are printed on the 100 tick chart, the more orders that are going through the book. Kevin G. A glass of wine every day could be okay. I'm not this is not financial advice, and this isn't this is not a health, what is this called? A life advice. This is not life advice. You wouldn't want life advice from me. You don't. You don't have to trade the 100 tick. You can see I'm everything you see me do tonight has been on the 5-minute or the 1 hour charts. Not much of anything else. And I think I just lost the chart link. Let's make sure I get this for tomorrow. I am going to be on TopstepTV tomorrow morning for fast markets. I'm excited for that. Maybe we could debut some scalping. Maybe we could try some scalping tomorrow, see how that goes. RST, if 1 is good, 2 is better. Do I trade the 1 minute? I do not. I do not trade the 1 minute. Do you swing trade a lot in options? Every options trade I do lasts typically longer than a week. Waiting to buy the NASDAQ. Me too. I'm waiting to buy the NASDAQ as well. Lance James, I'm new here, Dakota. Is there a simple explanation to your trading strategy? Yes. Love it. Love new traders, and I love new questions from those traders. So to summarize my strategy, everybody, is simply this is to summarize it in like a sentence. Okay, that's obviously it's a lot more than that, and I try and go over it, and everything's recorded on YouTube. You can always go back and watch any of the recordings. I know there's a lot of them, but technical analysis, it's simple, it's straightforward. There's not a lot of I guess what do we want to call it, like a lot of indicators. There's not a lot of distractions. It's just simple and straightforward. Here's an example, right? This was support. Typically, you'll say support becomes resistance. And then, sure enough, as the market gets to this level that used to be support, there's a chance that it could become resistance. Nothing works 100% of the time, but if I'm going to short this market, I would probably want to short it at this level because this will have a decent chance to pull back. Sure enough, this market is starting to sell off just a little bit. Now remember, this is slow markets, so the markets don't move a lot. So this is an example of that, right? And then obviously there's a lot more to it when it comes to technical analysis. There's a lot of pattern recognition. There's a lot of basic price action. And if you're new, I would even go as far as a lot of traders tend to use something like a simple moving average or a VWAP to help them decide, what direction should I be trading, looking for some type of pattern at the VWAP to buy it, or looking for some type of reversal after it touches the VWAP to sell it. And there's so many different ways. Obviously this one's a beautiful one, right here where we touched it once, we touched it twice, and then we had kind of a double bottom. This is a double bottoming pattern, right? Here's once, here's twice, and we ran liquidity right below that. And then as soon as we broke through this previous pivot, then it could have been a decent trade to the long side. And there's a lot of things. That's too much to really go over, but I would say to narrow it down in 1 to 2 sentences, it's just basic price action and technical analysis. Keep it super simple is more often the right thing to do. And yeah, you know what? As of right now, that was the right trade. That was the trade right there. So coming into the last 10 minutes of trading, let's keep your 10 minutes of class. Not 10 minutes of trading, 10 minutes of class. Yes, Stringy Boy, I'm going to be on TopstepTV Fast Markets tomorrow morning. I have not traded a Renko chart for a very long time, Lance. Can you post your recordings for coach class you're going to teach? Everything's here online. Do you trade ITC? I do not know what ITC is, other than he's a person that I see a lot of people talking about on the internet and on Twitter. I can't tell you yes or no. Or Wep, does he trade basic technical analysis? To be honest, everything out there has probably been around a lot longer than anybody, and a lot of people like to just repackage it, rename it, and sell it. It really is. I'm gonna be honest. Like a lot of things, you'll see people make something up that this was called something before. They rename it, they repackage it, they sell it to a bunch of people that are new to the markets, and that's how they make their money. But I don't know. I can't speak on any individuals, but that's my experience since I've ever been trading and learning. And it's like, I'm going to be like, yeah, this is a 3-bar reversal. I'm going to call this the DBA reversal, right? And I'm going to repackage this up and sell it as the DBA reversal, the DBA technique, the DBA strategy. I'm going to sell it for $9.99 and sell it to all the new traders who have no idea what's going on. Like, that's usually what happens. Well dressed, $9.99. No, $9.99 because I want to be cheaper than everyone else, right? I'm gonna undercut them. The DBA wave theory, the DBA reversal, all that fun stuff. Oh man. Oh, chat. You never cease to make my night enjoyable. And a paywall. Yeah, definitely a paywall. Then we'll throw out some affiliate codes to these sketchy prop firms and get paid, get some kickbacks from the prop firms that just don't pay you. And I'll be showing off my fancy cars and lifestyle. Okay, I better stop. Before I get too far into that rabbit hole. Do I travel much? Yes, I do. I love travel. Next time you make 10K a day, can I buy the shirt you wear first? $99.99. Oh man, holy base to go. Yeah, I'm not on Instagram. No, I'm on the Twix, the Twitter X, the Twitter X. Yeah, this is the only place you'll ever see me online, is here at Topstep or this. That's where I am sometimes. It's fun. I really enjoy interacting with everybody. Yeah, it's the Twix. Everyone calls it Twitter still, but it's technically X. It's the Twix. And the Twitter fingers, with all the Twitter fingers out there. Goodbye nature. Have I tried order flow trading? I have. It's not my cup of tea. I'm not the best at it, and so I don't. I do not trade order flow. I stick with what I'm good at, and I like technical analysis. I've always liked it. It's what I've found the most success, and so I stick with it. Yeah, I've hiked a lot of areas in Utah. I've hiked a lot of. So far, my favorite place has been Peru. I've loved Peru. I see that there's a few other people on social media that's been in Peru or is in Peru. And yeah, by far my favorite place so far has been Peru when it comes to how cheap it is. It's like $20 for a massage, like a 1 or 2 hour massage. I mean, I could eat fancy, like all the nice high-end restaurants for the same as like a cheaper restaurant here. I like a month's worth of rent is a fraction of the price. So that's one place I do want to go back, hopefully sometime soon, and probably spend 3 months in Peru. Chiller X, where in Peru? I went to Arequipa. I went to Cusco, obviously, Machu Picchu, Coca Springs, Lima. Yeah. Slippers. Oh man, that's the one thing I missed about Peru was the cheap massages. Over here in the U.S., they want to charge you like $60 for a 1 hour massage. And the food, and the food. The Peru has some of the best food. Cusi's from Cusco. Machu Picchu looks good. Peruvian girls. We're not getting into that. No, I wouldn't trust myself around any of that stuff. No, I did not eat any of the guinea pig. Oh no, they eat the guinea pig there, and it's not the most appealing food to eat. All right. Let's end it. I'm gonna end it there before the chat gets too out of hand. Yeah, that's what you get when you have a raw, unfiltered live stream, right? You get the fun stuff. you get the unfiltered stuff. And same with trading, right? Same with trading. Whenever you see me enter a trade, you see it live. There's no hiding anything. You see what is a live account. I talk it through. You see where I get in, get out, all that fun stuff. And yeah, I think that's where I'm going to end it. I will see everybody bright and early tomorrow morning. If not Sunday night, I'm going to end it there. Take care, everybody. Bye.